Hello, I'm Jane from TPAS Cymru and welcome to our latest video interview. Right from the start of COVID, the housing market was sent into deep freeze as restrictions were quite rightly imposed on the housing lettings. For many in housing, it was a case of batten down the hatches and wait to ride it out. The student market, however, is very different to that, and it's not able to batten down the hatches. It's very fast moving, it's very dynamic. There's lots of students that move in, students that move out. So it simply couldn't go into lockdown, it couldn't freeze. It had to continue trading. However, as a result, students were abandoning properties, sometimes legally, sometimes not. They were simply going back home to parents, they were moving into friends to sit it out. And for landlords, this caused an enormous amount of stress and anxiety because they simply did not know whether their rent was going to be paid, what kind of condition their properties would be left in if they were being abandoned, and whether they would be let for the next school year, for the next university year. So at TPAS Cymru, we wanted to try to gain some insight into the student letting market. So I'm today interviewing Suerah from Kingstons City Properties, who are one of the largest letting agents in Cardiff, in Cartays, which is in the heart of Studentville, if you like, in Cardiff. Because Cardiff does has a huge population of students, one of the largest in Wales, in fact. So as they've been trading over 22 years, it seemed appropriate to talk to them because they're going to have an awful lot of experience in the student market and now how they're coping with COVID. So let me introduce you to Suerah. Welcome, Suerah, and thank you very much indeed for taking the time out to talk to me. I know how busy you are at the moment, so thank you for that.
Hi, Jane. Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, Suerah, in the world of student letting, you tell me that this is the two busiest weeks of the year, where I would naturally assume that would be Freshers' Week. So, why is it these 2 weeks?
Yeah, you would typically think it would be Freshers' Week, which falls kind of mid-September, because you just presume that's when all the students will come down. Usually it is the first 2 weeks of July, which is our busiest time. The reason for this is because we do our contracts in line with the academic year, which is the 30th of June till the 1st of July. So we do have some tenants that will stay all the way up until the 30th and then just move in on the 1st of July. However, so they're moving on the 1st of July. We also just have some tenants who just want to come down, move their stuff in ready. So then when they do come down and start in September, everything's here and they're all settled. A lot of the time that they do like to come visit the property as soon as possible, bring their parents down. So if there are any maintenance issues or any concerns they have, they let us know sooner, ready for when they officially move in September.
So when do they start looking at the properties? When do they start securing the properties? Do they secure them there and then, or is it earlier in the year then? When do they start securing these properties? Is there a bun fight for the best properties?
Yes, so our busiest time is around November. So even though they've been in their properties, for a couple of months, it will always be November. The reason for this is because a lot of tenants, they'll go home in December and January for Christmas and come back and then they've got exams. So I guess they feel like they won't have enough time after Christmas. They also know a lot of properties will go, especially the big beds, the 6 beds and the 5 beds. So they kind of just want to nip it in the bud sooner rather than later. So they know for the rest of the year, they have nothing to kind of be concerned over.
Okay. So what has changed this year? Have you seen any changes this year at all?
Absolutely. It's much quieter this year. Like I said, yeah, it's usually extremely busy. The next 2 weeks it's much quieter. Normally we have our international students, they'll come over at this time of the year and take our kind of properties which are still on the market, but obviously due to COVID they haven't been able to fly over. We have done some virtual viewings, that's a new thing that we're doing now, all online. We have had some interest, but obviously sometimes that proves to be somewhat difficult because tenants haven't actually seen the property, but on the plus side, we've had many tenants who have actually taken the property without seeing it, just virtually seeing it. So I guess it works both ways.
So how does that work then, a virtual viewing?
So what we do is we will record our properties and then we'll kind of do a walkthrough on our website. So everything will be on our website, from the price, from when they can move in, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, and then we do the virtual viewing, which accompanies it. We've got someone on standby when a virtual viewing is happening. So if they have any further questions that might not be online, they can just ask it that way. So we try to make it as comfortable and as detailed as possible for our potential tenants.
So how are you protecting yourselves from COVID then, with social distancing, in terms of, you know, the contract signing and all those, you know, I'm not in the world, but those things that I imagine you've got to do. How are you protecting yourselves?
Well, we've got a few different outlines. So within the actual office, we have the doors shut, we have appointment only, there's hand sanitizer everywhere, you know, we wear masks. In regards to contract signings, everything now is being done online. So we do e-signatures, guarantors will email over their details, the viewings, they're all online. We have actually started to do this week physical viewings again.
Okay.
But again, it's full PPE where possible. We meet at property as opposed to having the tenants in our cars. 2-meter distance at all times, and we also ask tenants who may be in the property to leave during that time slot that we've set for them.
Okay.
To keep tenants in as safe as possible.
Okay. Are you finding that any landlords are looking to get out of the student market because of COVID? Are they looking to sell up or, you know, move on? Any evidence of that at all?
Yeah, well, we have had some discussions with some landlords who are feeling a bit uncertain at the moment, kind of where it lies with them. We have had one landlord who has decided to pull the lets and just sell his property, and that's kind of worked well for him. We have had other landlords who wanted to renovate over the summer period, but again, because of COVID, trade has been delayed, workers have been delayed, which means in fact that what he's promised the tenants for September won't necessarily go ahead. But our team have worked well with both parties, so we end up reducing the rent for the tenants, which means the landlord's happy that he's still getting his rent and no one hold from it, and tenants are happy because they're paying less rent because they were potentially promised a different property. But everyone understands, everyone's working together, which is great.
Oh, well, that is very good news, that people are actually being more understanding. I remember when I was a student, you know, it would be a case of you would all go to the letting agents, and then all the parents would go to the letting agents, and you'd have, you know, sort of 20 people there at the same time. Presumably you can't allow that at the moment. So what are you finding are the main concerns for students and their parents? Are they asking for anything in particular or anything specific?
Yeah, obviously most years we have tenants come and sit down, we have tenants and parents sit down with our maintenance team if they're concerned, with our accounts team. If they have a few questions for lettings, they can always come and ask. Obviously this year it's appointment only. We are really busy with our key handouts, and we've given a bigger time slot, which means we have less time to work in the day to kind of have people sit down and talk to us. So I think the main concerns are the cleanliness of the house. Okay. But what we've done to combat this year is every single property is having something called a COVID clean. Obviously, we encourage our tenants to keep the properties as tidy and as clean as possible when they leave, but just for extra reassurance for us and for the tenant and for the parent, we're just making sure every single property is deep cleaned. I think some of the parents may have not so much an issue, but they would like to come in and have a discussion, but everything now is being done over the phone or email, and sometimes people like that face-to-face contact, which they can't necessarily have this year yet, but it could change in the next couple of months. So I guess
so who's paying for the deep cleans then? Is that the students or the landlords, or who's covering those costs?
So it's a bit of both. It all depends on how the tenants before left the property. So if it's obvious and that they've abandoned the property and they have just up and left loads of rubbish and stuff that needs to be removed, then the landlords would, the tenants would. But if the property is left in a reasonable state, where the tenants don't need to be charged, then we'll charge the landlord for it.
For this new COVID clean that you've never done before. So the landlords are out of pocket then, really, because from what you're saying, you know, there's some reduced rent because maybe not all the maintenance has been, you know, completed, and they're paying for the COVID clean. So, you know, the landlords are, you know, feeling it a little bit then, I imagine, are they, with you know, with these changes? Right, okay. Have you had many properties abandoned? I mentioned in my intro that, you know, properties could be abandoned. Have you had many of those?
Not so much abandoned in the sense of just up and left. We have had a few tenants that had to return back home, our international students, at the start of quarantine and aren't able to come back. Those tenants, we worked with them. We put their belongings all in storage. Obviously, we want to help our tenants as much as possible. And we have had some tenants who are from the UK, they've left, and then they've come last minute, not necessarily done, you know, the most amazing clean, but in regards to completely abandon and not pay rent, that's nothing that we've kind of experienced.
Okay. So what do you think is different this year in the world of student letting?
It's definitely quieter. International students, we haven't seen any of them this year. The tenants are somewhat worried about their stay, because obviously I've had some tenants talk to me and saying, I don't know if I'm back in uni in September, what would happen if with my rent, if that is the case. So there's a lot of worry, but we try and keep our tenants as happy and calm and do our best as possible.
Okay, so finally then, if you were if you had the housing minister sat in front of you, or you had a representative from UK Arla, which I know is the governing body for yourselves, what two things would you say to them?
I would say, from a tenant's point of view, I would ask for some financial guidance and reassurance. If I weren't able to pay my rent, obviously it's hard for them. They may not get their part-time jobs as we did when we left university. And from a lettings agent or a landlord's point of view, again, it would be some financial aid for those tenants who can't pay rent. So the tenants are let off and the landlord's still receiving their money.
Okay, so, okay, right, yeah, no, well, we'll see what we can do. Any final observations, Suerah, before I let you get back to what I know, as I say, is a very, very busy time for you?
Final observations, it's extremely quiet, which means we can keep on top of everything. We help our tenants as much as possible, and we want to keep them as safe as possible.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Suerah, and I hope it continues to go really well for you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.